What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Experience More podcast. Pumped and excited to be able to have each and every one of you guys here with me today. Today is going to be a solo cast. It is going to be a product review. And for those of you guys who are new to the page and the show here, hit that like, subscribe button, jump on over to the Overdose Outdoors YouTube channel where we host the Experience More podcast. Definitely go through. You can find the podcast if you're just listening in. You can go put a review on there, like it, hate it, whatever you got it. Love to be able to hear your feedback, and overall, just appreciate each and every one of you guys coming in and being a part of the show. So I do a couple different kind of renditions episodes. One, I do episodes where really it's the guest, right? Bringing in different guests, all walks of life, individuals really just trying to tell the story of their life and what has allowed them to experience more of life. I've done a recent one with a good buddy, Dennis, really met through social media, through 1stPhorm, and just give away a piece as a random acts of kindness side of things. And he changed his life from sobriety to his fitness to his family and fell in love with hunting. So it was cool. That was the episode prior to be able to go through on that. So if you haven't listened to a podcast outside of this one, definitely go through. That was a good one with him, just as an individual who's no different than you and I. Put our pants on the exact same way. And that's just that. That is like guest podcasts. Going to have a handful of those continue to roll out. On top of that, do individual podcasts more focused on the personal development and mindset side of things, really going off of just my personal gut and feel and really perception of life and the journey that I've personally been on, the relationships that I've been able to build and fortunate enough to have had throughout my life, whether it was from a very, very young age, just the basic foundations of the family that I was blessed to be able to grow up and really learn from. And then outside of the personal development growth side of things, because I get into a lot of different stuff there, but I'm going to continue to bring product review pieces. I hate to say like product review. I don't do sponsorships or any of this. Like any of the shit that I bring in to the podcast is going to be shit that I actually use, right? Things that I believe in, things that I trust, and not just a quality product, but quality people behind the product. That's big. I'm very big, and you'll hear me say this in many different facets across the board, is like I'm big on quality products and quality people. If you can bring those two things together, you have the magic sauce, right? And in all facets of the Experience More podcast, like just be able to bring you guys nuggets, right? Things that are going to help you go be a better hunter, be a better significant other, do better within your fitness regimen, like be able to push further in the mountains, be able to work out harder, live a healthier, happy, more fulfilled life, especially in a world that is very instant gratification, to where you can press a button and get it tomorrow. There will never, ever, 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 ever be a substitute for hard work, discipline, and consistency, pushing the efforts forward. Like it's just the results speak for themselves in all facets, and really success leaves clues, right? Like there's a reason that there's individuals who have succeeded and done things that you wish you could do. They are no different than you or I. Like that is just the plain fucking truth. No different. They had a different background growing up. They might have had it worse. They might have had it better. It doesn't matter. The big thing is they've made a conscious decision to be better. And that's like when I think about products and I think about the things that I use, is like those are nuggets. I don't want to hide anything across the board. Of course, gone through, talked about Slayer calls, talked about MKC knives, going to have a handful of different things going up to where I might have to go through and record some other episodes here and maybe even increase the episode span. But as of now, I'm going to continue to consistently put one out every single Sunday. They should drop Sunday morning, 6 a.m. consistently every single week. And it's going to be one of those 3 episodes. You just never know what you're going to get, and there might be a little bit of crossover, just kind of like in this one. I'm going to be talking about a product, but I want you to understand what we're getting, right? Zero bullshit, straight to a T. Get rid of all the fluff, the smoke, the ads, and all that different shit. So product I'm going to be talking about today is going to be really post-workout, right? It is 1stPhorm's product. I've worked with 1stPhorm almost 10 years now, and there's a fucking reason for it. And I think it's important, right? Okay, call me biased, whatever you want to say. It's important to understand the story behind the product, right? And I will always try to give my story to that. Some might be super quick, some might be a little bit longer. This one might be a little bit longer. But it's important to understand the story behind the product and the real reason for it, because I think it gives validity in not, of course, just the product itself, but also in the people, the message, and the mission behind all of it. If you're here, let's buckle the fuck up and get ready to rock, because this is definitely a tie between personal development, leadership, and just trying to be the best version of myself moving forward. So, starting the story, we're going to go way back, and then I'm going to jump forward. But I really found 1stPhorm almost, it'd be going on 11 years. What is that? 11 years, 10 years? Would have been late 2014, 2015. Found it really through just a coincidence. Coincidentally enough, I'd actually found Andy Frisella, who some of you guys might not know who that is, but you might know of 75 Hard or heard of 1stPhorm. Or the Live Hard program. Well, Andy Frisella is the owner and creator of 1stPhorm, right? That was, essentially his passion project out of course, his first brick and mortar shop, which is known as Supplement Superstores around the Springfield and just Missouri surroundings area, is a supplement shop, brick and mortar shop. So I didn't know any of this shit back in the day. But I found this dude on a podcast, right? Similar to the one that you're listening to right now. And Andy had started this podcast, and it wasn't the greatest thing in the world in the beginning. It was definitely, he has gotten so much better over the years. He has risen his podcast to be literally the #1 entrepreneurship leadership podcast in the entire nation. And that's when I had started listening to it. 2015, he literally just started it. And I heard it from episode 1 all the way through. And the MSCO, literally, that podcast changed my life. It was listening to a dude who just shot it straight, zero bullshit across the board on trying to help, individuals find their calling in the business world, right? Whatever that was. And he's the reason I went through and dropped out of college, started my gym, was listening to podcasts and said, fuck it, we're just going to go. And I'll never forget, because I think this is important for you guys to understand. I was sitting outside of a classroom. Ryan was my professor at the time. The class itself was, gym development, or it was essentially I was going for, what was the technical term, right? It was fitness professional, going to UW Stout up there. The class was essentially gym facility recreational management, and the project was you had to build out a gym. Well, ultimately, listening to this, I had found this podcast that gave me just this swift kick in the ass and punch in the side of the head to just go do what it is the fuck I already knew I wanted to do, and that was start a gym. I left this class. After the class, I left being like, dude, what am I waiting for? Right? Like, this guy is talking on this podcast. I feel like I'm learning more in this podcast than I am in this classroom right now about just life. And 3 months later, opened up Machine Shed Sports Performance, Menominee, Wisconsin, also known as CrossFit 235. Started that gym. My business partner and I found my business partner. Him and I met at Log Jam up there. We got on a little notepad. We were drawing out the name. I literally met him. I said, meet me at Log Jam. I need to talk to you. And he's like, what's going on? Like, do you want to start a gym? He's like, fuck yeah. It's like, I was going to ask you the same kind of thing. And there's more to this backstory with him and I, but we ultimately went through, dove further into it. 3 months later, we had gone through, found a piece of property, bought an old auto body shop, and got the gym rocking and rolling. Move forward in all facets to this. Ran a very successful CrossFit gym. We were one of 7 gyms, and our focus was on culture and the community to it and getting people results, not nickel and diming them on the little shit. And we really pushed home on that, and we made things happen to where we got into competitions. We'd go through, we were very well known just in that space. And from that point, ran into these guys at a CrossFit competition up in Minnesota, and I was competing. And this just speaks to the culture of 1stPhorm. But there was a guy called Will Grumpke. He's actually one of the executives now of the company. And he was up there running a booth. He was just a dude handing out protein shakes and doing that. But he wasn't just sampling a product to go out and try and sell someone some shit. Like, he was out building relationships. And I'll never forget, I did a workout that left me essentially starfished out on the ground, like contemplating life. And here's this dude over me. He's like, just telling me, dude, that was the coolest shit I have seen. That was so awesome. Fucking crushed it. It looked like it was amazing, but sucked all at the same time. What do you need? And he's just asking me, what do I need? How can I help? What can I do to aid you? And I was like, just dude, give me air and let me breathe and back up, right? Like help me up off the ground. And from there, ultimately created just a really good relationship with Will. Flash forward in this, got to know him, learned that, okay, he works for this company called 1stPhorm, tried their protein. First one was Loopty Fruit, which literally, I looked at him, I was like, you guys ground up the cereal and put it in a jar. This is stupid, like stupid good. And he said, he just laughed, chuckled. He's like, no, dude, like it is a hydrolyzed whey protein isolate. And it just, it is a very fast digestible protein, going to help jumpstart the recovery process. And we match it up with, Ignition, which is a fast digestible carbohydrate and full spectrum micronutrient. Like he was educating me through this process. Like, dude, like this is what your body can really utilize to see better overall recovery and get you set up for the next workout coming. I was like, all right, give me more of that. Tried it, did it. That relationship was built. I loved it. The stuff worked great. I became a customer and utilizing this product. And then just got to know him more and more. And then I became essentially a Legionnaire, which is an external rep within the brand and the company. I applied in when they had opened up that for Wisconsin. And then from there, I looked at becoming a wholesaler, got the gym wholesaled into that, and just went down this pipeline of just building more of a relationship with Will, with Aaron, Cody, and getting to know all of these guys at headquarters. And, built great relationships with them. But I was like always curious about what was the bigger mission and meaning and everything behind it, right? Because it wasn't just a product to sell, like a company to sell protein. Like through that, I found out that Andy owned the company, right? And that's something I missed on just a second ago. But when I was talking with Will at that CrossFit competition, he's like, yeah, our CEO, Andy, started the company down in Springfield. And I'm like, what company did what Andy, right? And it's like, oh, Andy Frisella. I was like, oh, the MFCEO, which stands for Motherfucking CEO Project. And that was the podcast. He's like, oh, yeah, he just started that podcast, right? And he had gone through, it'd been a little bit of time in now that this is going on. This dude doesn't know me, but he's changed my life. I'm now going through and connecting with this individual who I've never met before, Will, who is a part of the ecosystem and a representation of what 1stPhorm is about. And just this compounding effect where it's like, this is the first time trying the product. I'm like, yep, I need to learn more about this brand and this company. And, for me, it wasn't just the Loopty Fruit protein, right? It was the people behind it. And, got further and further involved with these guys to where eventually I went, little corporate as physically possible, I ended up selling my gym, and I got a freaking FaceTime from Will Grumpke and the entire executive team, essentially asking me, I was FaceTiming. He's like, hey, dude, he sent me a text first, said, hey, dude, can you jump on a FaceTime? Sure, sounds good. Jump on a FaceTime. And I'm re-roofing my house, covered in shingle dust and all sorts of different shit, sitting on my front porch. He's like, what are you doing? Like, well, this is what I'm doing. I'm working on my house. And, he knew that I had just sold the gym and everything. It literally felt kind of like almost not an AA meeting, but like a scene of Punk'd or something, right? Like an intervention of some sort. But I get on this FaceTime with him, and he rolls around, and it's the whole executive team at the time of 1stPhorm. And they ultimately asked me if I would like to move down to St. Louis and work with 1stPhorm. I didn't know what to say. They asked me, what do you think about moving down to 1stPhorm? Have you ever thought about working with the company? I was like, no, I've never thought about working there. I know wholeheartedly at that time. And I told them, I've always wanted to do something bigger with the company, and I wanted to help create a bigger impact because I know more of the mission and piece behind 1stPhorm has always been about just drive results. And I've taken a lot of the framework of what 1stPhorm has done to build into that gym that I just sold. And even with me going into real estate, I was taking all the framework and business side of things of providing value to them. So I go through all this, and I was like, well, hey, I'm remodeling this house we just proposed to my girlfriend, now wife. And let me go through and like at least bring it up to her, right? Let me like talk with her, figure out this stuff. Like, when do you need to know by? And he's like, well, let me know by the end of the week. I said, I'm pretty sure at that point I was like, I'll let you know later tonight. Cool. All right. And went through that process, talked to my wife, or like girlfriend at the time, and this is just the powerhouse that I have behind me. You know, I told Tina, I was like, you never know what happened today, or you'll never guess what happened today. And you know, I told her that they had offered me a position and a job down at headquarters, and all she said was like, well, I guess you're moving to St. Louis. I was like, fuck. All right, here we go. Next chapter of life. And there is, when I have Tina on, and I don't want to spoil any of it, but when I have Tina on this podcast and we go through kind of our story and journey, we'll dive into that a lot, because there is a lot of story and history behind the last 11 plus years we've been together. So I don't want to spoil any of that, but stay tuned for that episode. The big piece of this, though, is within 3 months, I had remodeled the house, moved down. I did not know, and this is an important piece to understand. Did not know what my pay was going to be. I didn't know what my job was going to be. When I asked, it's like, well, what are we doing? Like, do you have an idea? It's like, we'll figure it out when you get here. We'll go through and we'll take care of you. We'll get you down here. This is kind of like what we're thinking on a base side of things, but we really don't have like necessarily the structure, anything kind of figured out yet. And I was just like, all right, sounds good. Screw it. Let's go. Right? I thought to myself at that point in time, because for a long time I told myself I'd never work for a big company ever fucking again. Because I've worked with big corporate companies and I've seen them how they treat people and walk in and just fire people on the spot, just not give a single fuck about any of them. I say, you know what? If there's any company that I would take a bet on and go work with, it would be this one. Because all the shit that ultimately, the relationships, the conversations, like everything that had been built up to this time is like, you know, if there's one company I would take a bet on and really just even give a shot in that, it'd be 1stPhorm. And I just took a bet on it. It was one of the greatest bets I ever went through and placed. Been with them now over 10 years, been at headquarters, and I can firmly say we make the absolute best fucking products on planet Earth. They go through and learning more about this in the supplement world, because supplements are not regulated by the FDA in any way, shape, or form. A company has to choose to have their products actually made and manufactured in a facility that is an FDA-regulated facility. All of 1stPhorm products are made in an FDA SQF level 3 facility, and it takes over 5 years of quality checks and regulatory aspects to make sure that it is actually at a stage 3 facility of checking raw goods coming in and finished products going out. So rest assured, like, it is made in a place where they're just not making it in a bathtub in their basement, right? There's a lot of time and resources that go into making sure it is the absolute best product, and you are getting exactly what is on that label. There is nothing more, nothing less, right? And not only do they do that, they have other certifications within that, where we have the NSF certification as well. So a lot of different individuals, whether it's collegiate athletes, major league athletes, you know, this is stuff that I use. It's stuff that I've given to Aurora, my, you know, year-and-a-half-old daughter. These are things that I trust with my family because I know what has been done to make sure they're the absolute best. Shit, even the prenatal was made for Raquel when our CEO Andy, or Sal, Andy's younger brother, which is another cool piece to 1stPhorm. Like, it's freaking dirt road growing up boys from South County, Missouri. 2 brothers built this to what it is today, and really the team overall. So, but Sal, when they were pregnant with Enzo, who is their first son, I was looking at all these prenatals and all this different shit that's out there. He's like, I can make this better. And went on to create the Joy Bundle, right? To create the prenatal, like, make sure that he wanted to make sure Enzo came out a super baby, right? Like, give him everything that he possibly needed. Give her everything she could pass on to him. It's the same thing give to Tina throughout her entire pregnancy. It's the same thing that I would recommend to anyone and everyone ultimately out there, right? So when you think about these products, like even looking at the, you know, whether it's the prostate pack, or you look at the vitamin D, liposomal vitamin D or vitamin C, like that shit was made for, you know, essentially Big Jim, right? You know, they went from being, you know, these young dudes who started 1stPhorm. They wanted to create quality products because they saw the industry all going right, trying to come together and make cheap shit, charge more money and earn a bunch. They're like, well, we're going the other direction and going to make the absolute best product and charge a fair price. And we're going to teach people how to go out and do this, right? So like everyone's going right, they're going left. And they got a lot of flack for it for a long time, right? And that's like seeing that, knowing that there was a passion behind what they were doing and like a calling to create a bigger impact was something that I resonated with. And it's something that's like, I'm making this recommendation to my friends, my family, like all of you guys. Like these are products that I would trust anyone and everyone with. And even going into like Formula One, some of you guys struggle with protein or different stuff like that. Here's the deal. It's normally going to be like the reason you have issues with whey. It's not that you're allergic to whey. Majority of the time, might be some cases, but I would go get checked if you actually are and show the data that you are allergic to whey. But individuals who might be lactose intolerant, right? All of the Formula One Clear, like they are lactose free. By FDA standard, we could label them as lactose free, and it is just a very high quality protein, very fast digestible protein in the level one or in the Formula One category or the Formula One Clear category, right? Level one still have a little bit of lactose and everything in there, but when it comes into really people who might be lactose intolerant or have different issues like IBS, Crohn's, or, you know, shit they bought at Walmart or Sam's is giving them digestion, bloat, gas, any of these things, like that day and age should be over. But it's not, because there's still companies out there trying to just make a subpar quality product and get a higher margin for it, right? It all comes down to how it was processed and manufactured. And that's a cool piece. Like all the proteins, products across the board, they're all low temperature processed. So they're never introduced to high heat or harsh chemicals. Like the shit actually works. It's not going to give you the protein farts that we all thought were ultimately just, you know, cool as kids, or, you know, where we're just trying to go double, triple scoop, say, oh, more protein, more muscle, right? So it's all around just good shit. And it's stuff that I would trust with anyone and everyone, right? Even so much that, and this was the big thing even back in the day, and I had to test it a couple times with people, right? Just to be like, is it really, like, do they really stand behind it? But all the products within 1stPhorm are 100% money back guarantee, 110% money back guarantee. Like if you don't absolutely love the shit, even down to the flavor, like let us make it right. Because if you get it, if you don't absolutely love it, you're not going to use it. You're not going to use it to get the results you are looking to get. You're not going to get those results. You're not going to tell anyone else about it, right? Like you have to love what you're ultimately using, right? So we want you to enjoy what you use. So if you're getting a product, you don't absolutely love it, like just reach out to customer service. You actually talk to a real human at HQ. We want to solve your problems. We want to help. And even if you're struggling with maybe diet or nutrition or workouts, like even if you call into 1stPhorm, all the staff within customer service, like everyone there is going to be a certified personal trainer, nutrition specialist. Like we're there to go through and help, right? And like we're making sure they have the knowledge, the education, the background, right? Through all NASM certifications, like to make sure that you are helped, not just sold a product, but you are given tools to go be successful in the journey you are about to commence on. So that's a big overall wrap up on this. But the thing that I'm going to just kind of show you here real quick, if you work out and you are wanting to improve overall recovery and you want to be less sore, you want to have a little bit better, maybe it's mile times, maybe better sets, get a little bit stronger. Like when you're working out, you're breaking down muscle tissue. And no matter what, like, and here's the truth to all of it that most people won't tell you. Your body's smart. It's not going to die. It's not going to not recover. Like no matter what, if you give time after your workout, like you will recover, even if you go eat a whole food meal, right? But it's always this like good, better, best scenario, right? Of what we could ultimately do, right? So good would be to have like a whole food meal, rice, chicken, or, you know, get like a protein and a carbohydrate source, right? Better would maybe, you know, look at, you know, a concentrate protein or something that, you know, is going to be a little bit faster digestible, maybe a little bit quicker of a carbohydrate source in there. And then the best option is going to be a rapid assimilation protein, something that breaks down super quick, and then a fast digestible carbohydrate to meet it. And what's going to happen is that's going to help blunt the muscle breakdown effect, because when you train and you are working to create micro trauma tears, like when you work out and contract super hard, you are creating these little tears in your muscle tissue because you break it down so it builds up, and break it down so it builds up. And you're doing that over and over and over again. Well, when you work out, your stress hormone in the body goes up. Cortisol goes up. Well, cortisol and insulin are on this little seesaw or sawhorse kind of thing, right? Cortisol goes up, insulin, right, is down. Well, if we bring insulin up, cortisol drops. If you pull in a fast digestible carbohydrate right after your workout, you're going to you're going to bring down cortisol, which is your body, or you're going to bring down that stress hormone, right? Which is a breakdown hormone. Insulin is a storage hormone. So we're going to bring down the breakdown effect, and we're going to bring up insulin, which is going to help drive and shove protein, those carbohydrates, those electrolytes, those minerals, vitamins, things that are coming within ignition, shuttling it to the muscle tissue that much quicker, jump starting the recovery process, right? So, and even if it's not 1stPhorm, and here's the thing, I will go and scream it from the top of the friggin' rooftops, Formula One ignition, or even Formula One clear ignition, and a creatine. Creatine's that one that I definitely think everyone should be on. Anyone and everyone can benefit from creatine. But if you're really wanting to jumpstart the recovery process, and it might be you doing a long day, like hiking the mountains. I take this stuff. I bring a little baggie because it doesn't take a lot of water at all. 6 ounces, 8 ounces, mixes super smooth, easy. I actually add it into my granola that I take in my Peaks refuel granola bag, or if I make my own little homemade bags like I did last year, I'll put granola, some M&Ms, raisins in there, and then I'll do 2 scoops of Formula One. Well, when I add water in there, because it's so light and it mixes so well, now I have this chocolate, 40-gram packed oatmeal that I didn't have before. So I'll go through and add these things in to make sure that I'm getting the nutrition to help jumpstart the recovery process, even in the backcountry, right? Or what I'm looking at doing. Maybe you're a masonry worker. Maybe you're a roofer. What are you doing post-work? Not just post-workout, but how are you recovering after the exertion that you have done throughout a period of time? So it's something that can be utilized, and most people undereat on their protein anyways. So it's something that's going to allow you to not only help jumpstart the recovery process after strenuous work or workouts, but also looking at how are you fueling your body and giving yourself the protein needed to excel the results, or really amplify the results you are looking at getting, right? So Formula One Ignition, phenomenal product. Highly recommend checking it out. There are great flavors all the way across the board. Salted caramel is probably one of my top flavors. Root beer float is by far my top favorite flavor, but it is something that's seasonal, and I don't know if it's coming back. And I have a handful of jugs that I got because I made sure. I'm doing $100 a scoop. I'll send it to you, if you really want it. But all jokes aside, definitely great flavors across the board. And if you absolutely don't like something, we'll switch it out. We'll make it better. So I will go through. I'll put details down in the caption. If you're on YouTube, right, or anywhere you see this platform, and I would highly encourage you listen to the podcast. You can go through, leave a review. Let me know. I'd love to be able to kind of get your insight and everything on it. But outside of the reviews on the podcast piece, definitely if you go onto YouTube, if you have questions about diet, nutrition, supplementation, wild shit, whatever, go through, drop a comment in there, leave a little message. I see those, I read all of those. And if there's something that I could go through and do to help you, or give little points of reference, whether you're using something else or you're trying 1stPhorm, it is indifferent to me. All I want you to really focus on is making sure that you are going through and getting something that is going to optimize the results you are looking for. And I'm going to tell you, my first recommendation will be 1stPhorm, because I trust them with everyone. And I know that if I go through and give you that no, you come to me, that'll be my recommendation across the board. You can use other stuff, and I'd want to know what you're using so I can have an idea of how to help, because I'm still going to help you. But my recommendation will always be in that realm. And if we don't make it, if 1stPhorm doesn't have it, definitely I'm going to look at different things, or I'm not going to bullshit you across the board of, oh, this is better or that's better. I'm just going to be straightforward in all facets to it. You send me an Instagram DM, you're going to get a video message back with me with probably a 1, 2, 3, 4 of do X, Y, and Z. This is how we go. So I'd love to be able to see it over on the YouTube. If you could help us go and grow over there, definitely. If this is your first time here, or your 100th time, punch that subscribe button, comment, everything that you need to go through and ultimately do. Help us push this out. The goal is 1,000 subs in the next 6 months here. But and it just be able to create a bigger impact in people's lives. So I hope you like this episode. A little bit longer, like I said, definitely a longer episode when it comes into a product review side of things. But no matter, like I said, no matter what I go through and do, I want to make sure that you're getting the full story and the value. And this is not something like I work for 1stPhorm. Like I've been with them, like I said, 10 years. This is not something anyone at the company asked me to do. But I think it would be wrong for me, like if I'm going through and telling you, oh, this is the bow I shoot. But you could also shoot, a bear or a diamond or something. Like you could go buy a bow off Amazon and be successful. But I'm going to show you what I shoot. I'll tell you why I shoot it, right? What release I go through and use, the camera gear that I'm ultimately starting with and using. But it'd be wrong for me to not unfold or tell you what I ultimately use when it comes to products to help see the better results inside the gym when it comes to hunting season and just overall recovery. So, and just have full transparency with all of you guys. So if there's anything I can ever do, any way, shape, or form I can help you guys, I truly appreciate you. Love each and every one of you guys. Thank you for the subs on the Overdose Outdoors YouTube channel where we host the Experience More podcast. Thank you for the reviews on Spotify and everything across the board there. Definitely wherever you're listening to this podcast, do me a huge solid favor. Go through, write a review. Let us know where we're at. Hit that 5-star, you know what I'm saying? And just allow us to be able to go out and create a bigger impact in the entire outdoor space and just world as a whole. So you guys fucking rock. Love y'all. We'll see you next time.